Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. We got V the Gorilla, and it is 5. That's May 21st, and it is 8:35 a.m. EST. And we're taking a look right now at the EURUSD. And yeah, we're going to take a look at some charts. It's a little bit of choppy waters right now. So trading is just really tricky. Had a lot of good trades not go well, not a lot. I had one good trade go badly, but I'm seeing a lot of people kind of getting stopped out. And so what we need to do is zoom out, take a look at what's going on, and also understand what happened yesterday. So that's a lost trade right there you see on the screen. And it was a good trade. It's just that for whatever reason, in the middle of the trading morning, right in the middle of the key hours of trading, right as my trade was doing what it was supposed to do, as I had put a trade on Tuesday night, patiently waiting for everything to form up, going well into profit, all of a sudden Trump decides to open his mouth. I was going to say something really rude right there, but I'm not going to say it.
Open his pie hole.
I was going to say faggot mouth, but anyway.
No. That's his Big Mac mouth.
Oh, it's okay.
He loves Big Macs.
Well, I liked hot dogs. So basically, he had to go ahead in the middle of the trading morning, like not, in the afternoon when people are not trading, not perhaps before the market opened, before people put their positions on. No, at like 9 or 10 a.m., whatever, right in the middle of the trading day, he decided to say something about Iran, and the markets just went in the opposite direction. And, I mean, honestly, I don't hate Trump that much. I'm just not happy with him for doing that. It's like, dude, why don't you just, typically what he does to manipulate the markets, and that's what he's doing, is on a Friday after the market close, he'll say something, right? And then you get this crazy Sunday open that has to do with the results of that. And then on Monday, he'll say something else to walk it back. And it's just been the way he does things. And so, I don't know what possessed him to have to say something in the middle of a Wednesday, but like a lot of people got stopped out of their trades. You can see this nasty wick in particular on the euro, the EURUSD. And, if you look at the Twitter space, you can also see where a ton of people got jacked out of their NASDAQ trades, right? So the NASDAQ really was, it wanted to go down. It did. There was a pattern, very clear pattern. It's a head and shoulders pattern. I don't want to belabor this because we've talked about it already. And it really did want to go down. Very high probability. These head and shoulders patterns are something like 78%. It depends on what, asset you're trading. But when you see that, and I'm not really a pattern trader at this point in my career, I'm an algorithmic trader. I trade, structure. I trade ranges. I trade all kinds of stuff. But this pattern in particular is a very reliable pattern. And it even, as you can see here, I'll zoom in on it so it's easier to see. It even broke below, which is kind of the key to entry right there. And it was really clearly going to go down. And then, it just, it kind of hung out. And then, of course, it got slammed back up. And it just happened to get slammed up when Trump had his little conversation with himself. So it is what it is. This is the world in which we're trading right now. It sucks when it happens. But what I was able to do on the euro trade was, I'll zoom in a bit here. Right, I'll zoom into a lower time frame. I made half of it back like immediately. So as soon as it happened, you get this big spike up through my stop loss. So I got rid of all that and all this gobbledygook here, and I'll get rid of this arrow. But as soon as it spiked up, I kind of waited for the algos to line up. I didn't just jump into the trade. We're going to talk a little bit about that mentality here in a minute. I went ahead and actually waited for everything to line up, and I entered, and I made half that money back. I didn't get out at the top of the spike because I was spiked out earlier, but I did get out like pretty nicely. You can see right about here, right about here I got out because you can see that there's some structure from some older structure I was kind of concerned about, and I saw a price hitting a resistance, and I just scalped my way out of the loss, or at least out of half that loss. So when there's big news, there's a certain mentality you have to have. You have to understand that, okay, a lot of people, when they lose a trade, their mentality is, oh, I got to make it back. And that is not the mentality to have in trading. That is the mentality that will lose you money. Okay. Trading is all about waiting for the opportunity to show itself based on your rules. We do a rules-based trading. And that's the only way that trading wins. You can only win trading based on rules. You can't win trading based on gut feeling or, hey, I want to try to make it back. Or that's all gambling. That's all just a good way to lose money. But if you have strict rules that you play, then you're able to make that money. And I was able to mitigate the loss. So now, and this is going to be across a lot of asset classes and pairs and whatever else, there's a pretty clear structure building right now. And what had happened was Trump said something that made the world think that the Iran deal is, maybe going to go through, and we're going to have peace in the Middle East, and all the MAGA world will be wonderful, so on and so forth. And so the world got like bullish on the NASDAQ and anything else, right? And then immediately, like within 2 hours, pretty quickly, Iran came back and said Trump wants to start another war with Iran. And that kind of stopped the momentum. So this is all just a bunch of news manipulation back and forth. And who knows who's working with who. I don't want to get into that because although we don't want to believe in 5D chess, it actually is very possible. If I can think of it, they can think of it. So long story short, we don't know what the hell is going on. We don't know if it's just as Bruce Willis said in the movie, I think it was Bruce Willis, said God's a kid with an anthill. Maybe that's in the Matrix or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's that complex at all, or if it's just people are saying.
I think that was from Scooby-Doo, the movie.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo. So basically, so long story short, it was whatever it was, whatever the reason, this is what we're left with, and this is chop, and it looks to me like it will remain in this area. This is the euro versus the dollar. So how does one trade this shitty price action? Because this is really not very great price action, right? Well, what you start to have is and it's even earlier than this, you have structure, and you must obey structure, especially when things get very slow in the market, right? And this is a very clear structure that's built. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this screen up, and we're going to just take a look at what price is doing and how one can trade that. So down here is a pretty clear structure. You have price bouncing twice right there. And that was before the news. It still matters, but we actually have some newer structure that I'm going to point to here, and it's these two bottoms right there. We now have what appear to be two bottoms. Might want to wait at least another candle for that, okay? And then we also have very clear 1, 2, 3 tops, these 3 tops right here, right? Now there is a little news coming up, and I think the news actually just hit, so we'll take a quick look at that. But in the end, what you seem to have a build here is this right there. So at this point, with low volatility, with not a ton of action, the way to do that is to buy the bottoms, sell the tops. Very simple. And people are tempted to do a lot of other things, and you just have to understand when there's no volume, when there's no consistency, you just got to trade whatever structure is there. Now this eventually will break out. There are a lot of reasons why there's not a lot of volatility right now, okay? In particular with the forex market. You'll see a little bit more volatility in the NASDAQ when it picks up, and the NASDAQ actually sucked a little money out of the forex market. So before I talk about that, though, I do want to see if the data's come out and see if we got an opportunity to trade. We're here to make money and not necessarily blab about economic theory. Let's see here. So let's correct this. Okay, so today's Thursday. Okay, so, oh, that's the 14th. That's like last week. Let's move on to this week. Thursday the 21st. Some data came out, but there's no red envelopes today. So for some reason, like the manufacturing PMI, these used to be red envelopes, but for some reason, it's reading these as lightweight events. The unemployment claims used to be a red envelope, but that's not being, so that for whatever reason, Forex Factory has all the US stuff as a medium impact event. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. Maybe it adds volatility, maybe it doesn't. So there's really nothing going on today unless you're trading the pound. And 11 a.m. EST, Governor Bailey speaks so that, he could say something if you're trading the pound. But here's the trade right here. I mean, for the euro, bouncing right off structure. So that's a trade right there if you want to take it. It's still within, an acceptable risk to reward ratio. It's getting a little bit out there, but you have a double bottom here, so I think it's worth taking a risk on this one. There we go. So I'll go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second to enter the trade. Let me see here. Yeah. 914. So 919089888. Okay. So this is a trade I entered a little higher than this, but it's still within a 1-to-1. So it's a very reasonable trade to take. And I'll take profit here at what is this, 116 32 116 324. Okay. Would have been better to enter the bottom, but hey, man, you know what? Still within the rules, and we were talking a lot, and that is what that is. So now, as this reaches the top, I'll be looking to go short on that, right? So this is just the range play, and ideally, I would just have orders ready to go as soon as I exit this. I'll have a look at the algos, but chances are I'll be pretty quick to enter that unless we get some kind of volatile news that throws this out of the box. Now, if this goes out of the box, then we have an opportunity for breakout trades, right? Now, it really needs to have a lot of volatility to do an extended breakout trade because you have this structure right here. So if it breaks upside, I'd have to make sure that there's enough meat on the bone to take a long trade here. Plus, we got this little structure right there. So a long trade has a little risk to it. But it's takeable. Just got to look at it at the time. And a short trade has a risk as well. You have this structure down here. So if I were to have a breakout trade to the downside, that there's this little bit right here that does cause some concern. And then, of course, if you back out, you can look at structure that matters on a higher time frame. And it's all so far away that it really doesn't matter. So one could say, like, if you could get out of the yeah, me too, Mick. Yeah, if you could get in the box and play, that is definitely the way. Like, that's Mick. You made a lot of money doing that, and then you sort of got away from doing that. And it looks like getting back to doing that after you and I talked is probably going to be more profitable for you than anything else, right? So this is the thing about us traders, especially algorithmic traders. We tend to build algorithms based on breakouts and momentum. At least I do. So when that goes away, the problem is we continue to use those tools when they no longer work. And then we end up in trouble because it becomes a price action and a structure play, right? So we gotta adapt to what's happening in the market. So a lot of people, when you get this kind of price action, their hands are tied. They don't know what to do. They can't make any money. They can't make any trades. No, you need to have a new algorithm ready to go. So that's that. That's that for that. So V the Gorilla, I know that you're here with us, and
I'm here.
There's weeks when you're here every day. There's weeks where maybe you're kind of busy, and we need you to be busy because for the audience here, understand that V the Gorilla is an absolute beast when it comes to macroeconomics and understanding things. But because of your other main business, your precious metals, basically you're a dealer. You deal precious metals, you deal crypto, and you deal institutionally. So if you're looking for $80 in crypto, you're not really talking to the right people here. If you need a few $1 million, then you can talk to us. Long story short, your experience out there gives you a boots on the ground view that people don't have. No, I don't have that boots on the ground feel for the most part. I get that information from you. So usually we save a lot of the higher level stuff for the Algo Factory private live lab, which we're about to switch over to right now. But before we do that, V, is there anything for the general audience that you want to kind of hint at in the macro, like what you're seeing on the ground?
Well, I think we're coming to a major inflection point. And what I mean by that is that the way things are going with the Strait of Hormuz, and if you notice, like, there's no easy off ramp out of this, right? They could have easily walked this back over a month ago. Over a month ago, I came on here and I said, look, in the Algo Factory private lab that I said, look, Trump's going to be looking for an off ramp, and he was trying to look for an off ramp, but again, these things get subverted because there are multiple layers and multiple players. Remember that there's multiple layers and multiple players. So now we're in this conundrum. Okay, we've created such a mess, and one of the things from private sources that I could tell you is that Xi Jinping, basically told Trump, "You made a mess of the world," in no uncertain terms, and we are in such a mess, and whatever is motivating every single one of these bought and paid for, completely compromised politicians that are running this country, there's only one way forward. And I think these guys are going to continue to make this crisis in the Strait of Hormuz something that will continue to exacerbate, something that will begin to metastasize into many other facets throughout the broader global economy. As I'm sitting here talking to you guys, Lufthansa, the largest airliner in Europe, one of the most prestigious airliners in the world. It's right up there with Singapore Airlines. It's right up there with Emirates and Qatar. Lufthansa has canceled over 20,000 flights. As I'm sitting here talking to you guys, over 80 countries are right now heading into a position of fuel rationing that they're preparing themselves for. There are various industries, from cosmetics to paper printing, that right now they are cutting back on certain colors and palettes of colors because they cannot reproduce those. In time, in the next few more months, these things will start to proliferate even into the United States. So now we're in an inflection point where I don't know who said it, but they said it best. The United States has two choices. It can either save the currency or save the bond market. It cannot do both. We've put ourselves in a conundrum. We put ourselves in a crucible in which we can no longer walk and chew gum. We can no longer do multiple things at once and trying to have this image of prosperity and stability. We don't. And I think the world has woken up to that fact that we don't. So there's a lot coming down, and I think in the next several weeks, I behoove all of you to join us at Algo Factory, not only to take advantage of the algorithms, but to get the on-the-ground intel and market analysis, the geostrategic, geoeconomic analysis that you can put forth algorithmically into your trades that could benefit you, and see how the market plays out weeks and months in advance. And we've been months ahead of so many things here on Algo Factory. So I implore you to do that, because I'm of the firm belief that one of the last things to fall will be the equities market. And with that being said, Cowboy, get us into the private lab.
Okay, off we go. Thank you all for watching. Remember, we will be back on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp. We do this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday live for everybody. View the Gorilla will often come on and impart his wisdom and knowledge from the boots on the ground perspective, right? And that is also, we get our information from quite a few places, but when you have that sort of flavor that you get from actually dealing with people who might be buying $50 million in gold or something, it's just a different feel altogether. So Thank you all for watching. Also, take a look. If you're already on the list, if you already have the free algo, take a look in your inbox on Monday. You will get the free the free weekly update, the market forecast. So I tell you what I think is going to happen in the markets. And that's free. That's free to anybody who got the free algo. If you don't have the free algo, then get in the description. There is a free algorithm. Now, you can't just plug and play. You need to optimize it. We teach you how to do that. But otherwise, it's a really quick video. I build a simple algorithm for you. I show you how to turn that into code by using Grok AI. You can use any AI. I like Grok or Gemini. They seem to do best. And then I show you how that's the engine for the agentic trading bot. And I know everybody's talking about the agentic trading bots. How do I get the computer to trade for me while I am golfing, or I don't know, whatever it is you do? And you may be sleeping, petting your dog. You're not at the computer. You do what you want to do in life. Computer trades for you. And here's the thing about that. If it was as easy as simply like, hey, Gemini, make me a trading bot. And if it was as easy as doing that, we'd have a lot of like new millionaires walking around. And it's just not true. And I've seen it. I've seen enough people try to do it without a coach. You're probably not going to succeed. I'm not saying you can't succeed. I've just never seen anybody do it. So come on over, talk to us, get the free algo. It'll put you on the list, tell you how to find us, or simply come to algofactory.tech where we can teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. And, we'll see you next week. Never, ever forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die. We love you.